Just minutes ago, President Trump announced the departure of a key figure in the West Wing. His tweet: White House counsel Don McGahn will be leaving his position in the fall shortly after the confirmation, hopefully, of Judge Brett Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court. I've worked with Don for a long time and truly appreciate his service. CNN's Sarah Westwood is at the White House. Sarah, this probably doesn't come as too big of a surprise that Don McGahn is leaving, but this is someone that had extraordinary access to President Trump. What should we take from this announcement?
That's right, Ryan. President Trump, he's announcing via Twitter something that we've expected to be the case for a long time. That's that McGahn will be leaving the White House in the weeks ahead. Obviously, the relationship between President Trump and Don McGahn has been at times complicated and even contentious. And there was another speed bump in the road in terms of their relationship just weeks ago when we learned earlier this month just how extensively McGahn had cooperated with investigators on special counsel Robert Mueller's probe. And it's not clear that President Trump knew at the time the extent of that cooperation. McGahn's departure is generating strong reactions from conservatives, including Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley, who tweeted just moments ago, "Trump, I hope it's not true that McGahn is leaving the White House counsel. You can't let that happen." McGahn's tenure, of course, was considered very successful among conservatives, in part because he was able to spearhead the nomination of dozens of conservative judicial appointments, including the two very popular conservative Supreme Court nominees, Gorsuch, who was confirmed to the Supreme Court last year, and obviously Brett Kavanaugh, who McGahn has been extensively involved in working with. We don't know exactly who his successor will be, but CNN is learning that Emmett Flood, a lawyer who joined the legal team in May, is a leading contender. Of course, McGahn will leave a big void in the White House in the eyes of conservatives because he was so involved in those judicial nominations, Brian.
In part, maybe why there's some pushback right now from the Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley. Sarah Westwood, thank you for delivering that breaking news. And joining me now to discuss this, Julie Pace, a CNN political analyst and Washington bureau chief for the Associated Press, and Michael Zeldin, CNN legal analyst and former special assistant to Robert Mueller at the Justice Department. Michael, first to you. In the midst of the Russia investigation, we know that Don McGahn has cooperated to a certain extent with the special counsel Robert Mueller. What does his departure mean for the president's defense?
Well, McGahn has been recused from the Russia investigation, so he's got nothing to do with the day-to-day oversight of the investigation. That's Emmett Flood and Jane and Marty Raskin's responsibility. His principal role in the White House has been, as Sarah indicated, getting these judges confirmed, and that's why Grassley is upset, because they've had a good working relationship around that. So in terms of Russia, I don't think it's of any moment. In terms of the judges, they have to find a new person who can work with Grassley and keep plowing through these judge appointments.
All right, and Julie, that leads me to my question for you, to Michael's point. I mean, politically, what's the impact of someone like Don McGahn leaving the White House?
Well, anytime you have a senior official in a White House who leaves, there creates a little bit of instability as the West Wing sorts out who's going to replace them and if they're going to take that job in a different direction. But I think to the point that Sarah made earlier, I think the impact of McGahn's departure is actually broader than that. He has been somebody in the West Wing who conservatives on Capitol Hill have looked toward as someone who is essentially representing mainstream conservatism in the West Wing. We all know Trump is not particularly ideological, and so McGahn has been there to help with these Supreme Court nominations, but also just the broader reshaping of the judiciary across the country that we've seen. It's something that Mitch McConnell, that Chuck Grassley really have given this White House credit for, and McGahn has been a central player in that.
And let's read the Chuck Grassley tweet again if we can. He said, he's tweeting directly to the president. He says, "I hope it's not true that McGahn is leaving the White House counsel or leaving White House counsel. You," using the letter U, Chuck Grassley, very adept at Twitter, "can't let this happen." It seems interesting, Julie, that the Senate Judiciary Chairman, who probably has the ability to call the White House and talk to the president about this, is using Twitter as his means of communication. Or maybe it's not in this administration.
Well, this is the Trump effect, right? That you either go on television or you tweet to get your message through, even though I'm sure Chuck Grassley also is calling the White House to deliver that message. But I do think it really speaks to what has been, for Republicans, the most successful part of this administration, which is not even the tax law. It is the remaking of the judiciary. And Chuck Grassley is someone who has spent so many years in his career focused on that. And he does feel like over the past 17, 18 months that has been a success for Trump. And again, Don McGahn really at the center of that effort.
So, Michael, getting back to this point about how cooperative that Don McGahn has been with the Mueller investigation, we know he sat with them on 3 different occasions for more than 30 hours. And his attorneys have been very clear that he has told the truth at every point, that his goal wasn't to necessarily incriminate the president, but he was honest. Do you think that has any role with his decision to leave the White House right now?
No, I think that the decision for him to leave the White House was foregone. He and the president are reputed to have a very strained relationship, almost as strained as the president's relationship with Sessions. I think that the time has come for McGahn to leave. I don't think it's related to his cooperation with the White House, with the investigation of Russia by the special counsel. I just think it's the point in time where they're going to make a change. And we'll probably see the same thing with Sessions, and we may see the same with others. This is, sort of the 2-year mark. And this is when things, sort of begin to turn over. These guys work really long, hard hours at these government jobs, and this is where they burn out, pretty much.
Julia, this is not the only topic the president tweeting about this morning. He's also calling on the Justice Department to investigate whether the Chinese hacked into Hillary Clinton's private email server. Is this another clear indication that the president is trying to put this bias into the Clinton email investigation with this drumbeat of criticism against Attorney General Sessions?
Sure. I mean, he's really trying to make the point that Jeff Sessions, he feels, is only investigating things or only leading a Justice Department that is investigating things that relate to his administration, and he would like to see them switch gears here. What he misses, though, in these tweets is that Jeff Sessions isn't recused from simply investigations relating to the Trump campaign. He's recused from investigations relating to the 2016 election broadly. So it's not even within Jeff Sessions' purview at this point to open an investigation into Hillary Clinton, because he has had to step away from all matters related to the 2016 election. And really, that should have been no surprise that would have had to have happened given his role in the campaign. It's Trump who seems to be the only one that's surprised that Sessions would have had a recusal as relates to election matters.